Basically, as long as phones have existed, gaming also has. Who else has fond memories of Snake on the 3310? Sadly, with the rise of touchscreens, tactile feedback is somewhat lacking, and even though some games have really improved the touchscreen controls, it still isn't there yet, and it's hard to compete with the physical inputs of a good thumbstick. Controllers for smartphones aren't exactly new. I still have my generic clip model that got some good use for classic emulators back in the day. But with the rise of popularity of the Nintendo Switch, there has definitely been a shift in form factors available to smartphone gaming. The Razer Kishi was released in 2020 with different models for iOS and Android. Needing different models is not an issue with classic Bluetooth controllers, but unfortunately necessary here as the Kishi plugs directly into your USB-C or Lightning port. This is both one of its greatest strengths and greatest weaknesses. Having a specific port cuts down on compatibility, and Android device dimensions do vary, so there are some models that won't fit within the grips at all. But there shouldn't be many. With that trade-off comes a direct connection to the Kishi, no longer having to worry about batteries or a spotty Bluetooth connection, and the potential lag or interference that goes with it. I'll probably find something else to blame if it's not lag though. Maybe it's because I'm a Switch fan, but using the Kishi really felt more natural and seamless than smartphone gaming has before. No longer the awkward top-heavy feeling of a controller with a clip. This feels like a tailor-made experience. From the somewhat convenience of being able to unfurl it at any time, to the fact that it even has a speaker port at the bottom to redirect those pesky bottom-firing speakers. For the many phones that offer stereo sound with an earpiece and downward-firing speaker, you now have proper stereo speakers. The Kishi itself feels well made, and it had better for that asking price. Not a huge surprise for Razer gear though. Buttons are plenty clicky, thumbsticks responsive, and the trigger's adequate. It's definitely not up to the quality of some of the nice Xbox or Switch Pro controllers, and lacks their haptics too, but it's still good.
Yeah, still good.
There is a Kishi app available on the Play Store, which doesn't do a whole lot. Very plainly designed, its whole function seems to be to help find games that work with the Kishi, aka games with controller support. And that's where the Kishi runs into issues, along with every other controller. While it might be different on iOS, for Android finding games was at least possible with the app. Finding games that are also of good quality and something I want to play is another story. I found a few games like Valor and Xenowerk. They were fine as phone games, but not nearly as engaging to make a purchase like this worthwhile. They were both better experiences on a controller than touch though, mainly the control stick and more precise button inputs. Old reliable Knights of the Old Republic is of course supported, and works very well with this form factor, as there are many touchscreen elements that still need to be interacted with, and the Kishi makes this easy by keeping your hands close to your smartphone. I tried Genshin Impact, as everyone seems to rave about the quality of the game, especially for a mobile platform. Unfortunately, despite controllers being supported on iOS since February of 2021, there is still no support on Android, and trying to use a controller with a touch mapping system is against the fair play policy and can get you banned. This might be a solid choice if it ever does arrive though. Pokemon Unite also doesn't support controllers, which is odd since it's available on the Switch, you know, with a controller. Touchscreen controls are decent, but I'd rather have the option for a thumbstick for movement. Diablo Immortal is currently in beta, and with that it brought partial controller support. Menus still require touch controls, but normal gameplay can be done with a controller. The thumbstick for precise movements were great, especially to quickly get out of dangerous abilities, but the way the active abilities work can sometimes be less fluid. This was probably the most polished mobile game with a controller to kick back to that I found. They do get a shout out though, as their touch controls are also pretty good.
You guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys.
The trend that I've felt makes me wish for maybe just the left side of the Kishi to get the movement off of the touchscreen, but keep the other interactions. Anyway, Steam Link is also available, which brings PC games to a handheld format. A cool novelty, but I still generally rather play PC games with my mouse and keyboard on a PC. Once you get used to it though, for the right games it might be cool. And of course there are always emulators, if you can find some stable ones with good controller support. So I guess the Kishi story is much like my relationship with gaming in general. When I do find a good game to play, the platform is excellent. It's that step of finding something though, and then making sure it supports the control scheme that you want. Sometimes it's the platform's openness and complete number of choices that can lead to decision paralysis, like I get during every Steam sale. Then I just go back to replaying a familiar game or its remake. I'm sure there are plenty of high quality games on Android. Finding them is difficult though, and proper controller support is more difficult again. If you have found a game that you really love to play on your phone though, and it has controller support, and you sleep on a giant pile of money, consider the Kishi to fill that hole in your life. It's an excellent controller that'll make the game feel a little better, and make you curse touchscreen movements far less. I would be looking out for a good special though, as it retails for around half the price of a Switch Lite. So just know what you're getting yourself into.